So last time I explained why screens are a symptom, not the cause. The reason your son is spending 8 hours a day gaming or scrolling isn't because screens hijacked his dopamine. It's because screens are giving him something he's not getting anywhere else. Agency, clear rules, fast feedback, visible progress. They're meeting a need that real life isn't meeting. And if you just remove the screen without addressing that need, you're fighting a losing battle. Now, the obvious question is, okay, so what do I actually do? And I want to start with what not to do, because this is where most parents get stuck. They understand the reframe intellectually, but then they go right back to the same strategies that weren't working in the first place. So here's what doesn't work. Escalating monitoring, like installing more tracking apps, checking screen time reports constantly, trying to catch him breaking rules, that sort of thing. All that does is turn you into the enforcer and him into the evader. It makes screens even more appealing because now they represent freedom from surveillance. You're not reducing his need for agency, you're increasing it. Constant negotiation doesn't work either. If you do your homework, you can have an hour of screen time. If you clean your room, I'll give you your phone back. This turns every interaction into a transaction. And it teaches him that effort is only worth it if there's a screen-based reward at the end. You're actually reinforcing the idea that screens are the most valuable thing in his life. Removing screens without replacement is probably the worst strategy. Because if screens are meeting needs that aren't being met anywhere else, and you just take them away, those needs don't disappear, right? They just go unmet. And an adolescent with unmet needs for agency and progress and clarity doesn't suddenly become motivated. Like, he becomes resentful and withdrawn. He finds other ways to avoid. He sleeps 14 hours a day, he stares at the ceiling, he gets angrier because you took away the one thing that was working for him and gave him nothing in return. And finally, turning screens into a moral issue doesn't work either. Framing it as laziness or addiction or weakness or lack of discipline, that just adds shame to the equation. Like, now he's not just avoiding real life because it feels overwhelming, he's also defending himself against the judgment that he's a bad person for preferring screens. Look, shame doesn't motivate, it paralyzes. Autonomy beats restriction every time. So if all of that doesn't work, what does? The answer is you have to restore the things that screens are currently providing. You have to build spaces in his life where he experiences agency, where effort leads to clear outcomes, where the rules make sense, and where he can see progress. And you have to do this without lectures, without pressure, without turning it into another thing he's failing at. So here's how you do that. You focus on small responsibilities with real impact. Not chores for the sake of chores, not busy work, real responsibilities where his effort produces a visible result that matters, where he can see that what he did changed something. Let me give you some examples. One family I worked with, the dad was constantly stressed about yard work. Every weekend, long list of things that needed to get done, never enough time. So we carved out one specific task. The son was responsible for trimming the hedges every Saturday morning. That was his. Not help with yard work, not do whatever dad asks, just the hedges. Clear task, clear outcome, clear ownership. And here's what happened. Within a few weeks, the kid started taking pride in it. He'd finish and walk around the front of the house to see how it looked. He'd point it out to his mom. It became his thing. And screen time dropped by about an hour a day. Not because anyone restricted it, but because he had something that felt meaningful. Another example. A mom who was overwhelmed with dinner prep every night. We shifted it so that 2 nights a week, the son was responsible for dinner. Not helping, responsible. He had to plan it, shop for it if needed, cook it, and clean up. And the first couple weeks were rough, of course. Lots of boxed mac and cheese, lots of mistakes. But by week 3, he was looking up recipes, trying new things, and getting better at it. And his parents were genuinely impressed. That visible competence, effort leading to a result people valued, that's what screens have been giving him. Now real life was giving it to him too. The key is that these have to be time-bound and completable, not open-ended responsibilities where he's never quite done. Not vague expectations where he doesn't know if he succeeded. Clear start, clear end, clear result. That's what makes effort feel worth it. And that's what builds the loop. I did something, it worked, I can do it again. Now, some parents hear this and they think, okay, so I just need to give him more chores. And no, that's not it. Chores for the sake of chores feel arbitrary. They feel like you're just trying to fill his time. What you're looking for is impact, where his effort changes something that matters, where someone notices, where there's a real outcome, right? Not just a check box. Here's a small experiment you can try this week. Pick one daily responsibility where effort produces a clear result and let your son own it fully. Not help me with this, own it. Where you step back and let him succeed or fail on his own. Where the feedback comes from the result, not from you nagging or praising. And then see what happens. Here's what I've noticed. When boys have real responsibilities where effort matters, where they can see progress, where they have genuine agency, screens become less magnetic. Automatically. Not because you took them away, because something more compelling showed up. The screen was filling a vacuum. You're not fighting the screen, you're filling the vacuum. And look, this doesn't mean screen time will drop to zero. It doesn't mean he's suddenly going to be this motivated, self-directed kid who never touches his phone. What it means is you're starting to build the conditions where effort in real life feels as rewarding as effort in a game. Where his day has moments that meet the needs screens have been meeting. Where he has evidence that he's capable, that his effort produces results, that he can handle real responsibility. And if you do that consistently, not perfectly, but consistently, what you'll find is that the screen time issue often takes care of itself. Not because you controlled it, because you built something better. If you shift what happens during the day, nights often take care of themselves.